Namaskaram, Guruji.
Namaskaram. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankara Acharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha. Sharada Sharadam Bhoja Vadana Vadanam Bhuje Sarvada Sarvada Asmakam Sannidhim Kriyat Shri Sharada Parameshwariyai Namaha. Om Sutishmriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagawad Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha. Om Shri Medha Dakshina Murti Swamine Namaha. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamrita Varshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvam Anusandhadami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshinim Yam Brahma Varunindra Rudra Marutah Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedais Sankapadakramopanishadaihi Gayam Samagaha Dhyanavastita Dadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yoginah Yasyantanna Vidhusura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Om. Namaste once again, everyone.
Namaste Guruji, pranam.
Pranam. Indriyanam hi Namaste. Indriyanam hi charatam yanmano nuvidhiyate tadasya harati pragyam vayurnavamivambhasi. This was the sloka we were seeing in the last class. The mind which follows the wandering sense organs carries away the wisdom of that person. From pragya, he becomes a agyani. Just as the wind carries away the boat on the waters. So, as I was mentioning in the last class, in this sloka, Krishna is once again emphasizing the importance of having both Indriya Nigraha and Mano Nigraha. That is, sense control and mind control. Because by their very nature, the sense organs are always wandering, isn't it? I mean, when we open the eyes, it's always, even when we go to a function, when we go to a cinema hall, our eyes start wandering. Do I know somebody who is here? Has any of my friends come here? And this is, we have no control over that. You cannot tell the eyes. The moment you open your eyes, it starts wandering rather. Now, every sense organ, for it to gather knowledge, there are two requirements for that. Number one, the mind should be behind the sense organ. It should be supporting the sense organ. Otherwise, when we are seeing an object, merely the sight of an object, no knowledge is gathered. There are no impressions formed in our chitta. It's only when the mind is backing the sense organ that we gather knowledge of a particular object with the eyes are seeing. For example, here let us take the example of the eyes. So therefore, the mind's support behind every sense organ is very much necessary for for the knowledge to take place. And the second requirement is the mind has to be pervaded by the consciousness. Of course, everything has to be pervaded. Even the eyes have to be pervaded by the consciousness for it to function. But more importantly, the mind has to be pervaded by the consciousness. And the second condition, mind has to be supportive of the particular sense organ which is trying to gather knowledge. If these two conditions are not satisfied, knowledge will not take place. For example, the eyes may be seeing an object, whereas the mind is wandering elsewhere. That's why we sometimes do like this, in front of a person. His eyes are fixed on an object, but his mind is elsewhere. So even though he's seeing the object, there is no impression gained. There is no knowledge being produced by that act of seeing the object. And mind needs to be pervaded by consciousness. If it is not there, again, there will not be any knowledge being created. For example, a dead body. There, even though the eyes may be opened, the mind is behind the eyes, but the mind is not pervaded by the consciousness. That is what it is not a sentient mind. It's an insentient mind. It's a dead mind. So no knowledge can take place. Therefore, these two conditions are very important. And suppose, as I said, mind also wanders along with the wandering of the sense organs, then wandering of the mind and wandering of the sense organs. This is the combination, the deadly combination of these two will ensure that no knowledge takes place. And even if with some difficulty one acquires the knowledge, this combination will rob away the knowledge, and that will not allow whatever little knowledge I have gained to remain with me. Therefore, Krishna says, Tat asya pragyam harati. Harati means they take away, they rob away. Here, Tat refers to the wandering mind and the sense organs, both. The wayward mind and the sense organs. Tasya pragyam harati. It will rob away or carry away the Atma Jnanam. And that is why Krishna is emphasizing both sense control and mind control. Because gaining Atma Jnanam itself is a very, very tedious process. We have seen 25 years, 30 years, you have been listening to the Mahatmas, you have been reading of books, you have attended lots of satsangs, but that Atma Jnanam has not gained at all. Why? Because one of the requirements for Atma Jnanam to be gained and settled in is Chitta Shuddhi. If there is no Chitta Shuddhi, if one is not following a dharmic life in his day-to-day affairs, then there is no platform for Atma Jnanam to enter and settle down. And along with the Chitta Shuddhi, with the purification, the Karma Yoga sadhanas, Krishna is now saying, I told you about Karma Yoga earlier, Arjuna. Now these two are very important, sense control and mind control. And to convey this idea, Krishna gives an example. Suppose a person is traveling in a rowing boat, the boat in which they row, not a motorboat. And he is supposed to decide the direction of the travel. And how does he do it? He has got a pair of oars with which he has the control over the movement of the boat. He must direct the boat. And if he's not going to control the boat, what will happen? There is a wind blowing, and that wind which is blowing will take away the boat to any direction that the wind wants. The wind is not going to ask permission from that person that should I go in this direction, should I go in that direction where I am blowing. In fact, sometimes the wind may take the boat to a whirlpool or a dangerous place, and the boat may even capsize that. And this is the example Krishna gives. Just as the wind takes away the boat and destroys the boat and the traveler, similarly, the wayward mind and sense organs carry away the boat of knowledge. And along with that knowledge, it destroys the individual also. Buddhi nashat pranashyati. And he says, Vayur nava mivambasi. Vayuhu. Vayu means the wind compared to the wayward mind. Navam, the boat, is compared to jnanam. Knowledge is called the boat. So, sarvam jnana planenaiva vrijinam santarishyati. And see the beautiful, the beauty of this example. Knowledge is considered to be a boat because when knowledge takes place, it takes a person across the ocean of samsara. And that's a beautiful, way. He is comparing it to the boat, and it will take a person across the ocean of samsara. And a wayward mind, an uncontrolled mind, a rogue mind, it will destroy the boat of knowledge. And when the boat of knowledge is destroyed, I, the traveler, am also destroyed. Not physically, but all my spiritual personality, which I have been very, very diligently trying to develop, all that will be destroyed. And all this because of what? Lack of mind and sense regulation. That's why Krishna says that it is not merely karma yoga which is going to give you. Karma yoga is a prerequisite. There can be no two opinions about it. Chitta Shuddhi is the first priority. But once you have gained a certain degree of Chitta Shuddhi, we must ensure that the mind does not become impure again. Because then what will happen? On the one hand, you are doing karma yoga, and the other hand, you are gaining more and more impurities. Probably the current impurities which you are collecting may be getting cleansed, but what about the past impurities? Therefore, it is not enough that you continue to perform all the sadhanas, karma yoga sadhanas, and keep on gaining incrementally the chitta shuddhi, but you must also be careful not to add more impurities. And for that, this mind control and sense control are very, very important. You must remember, all this Krishna is saying in the context of what? Tasya prajna pratishtita. The knowledge becoming steady, the knowledge converting a prajna into a sthira prajna. It is in that context that Krishna is giving all the advices of these sadhanas. And whatever he has said till now, Krishna sums up all that in this next 68th sloka. Tasmadyasya mahabaho vigrihitani sarvashah indriyanindriyabtebhyah tasya prajna pratishtita. The Anvaya of this sloka is, He Mahabaho, Tasmat Yasya Indriyani Sarvashah Nigrihitani Indriya Arthebhyah Prajna Tasya Pratishtita. Very nice summing up. He Mahabaho, O Arjuna, Tasmat, therefore, Yasya Indriyani, whose organs, Sarvashah Nigrihitani, are completely withdrawn or completely under the control, under the management of that person. Indriya Arthebhyah, from the sense objects. Prajna Tasya, the knowledge of that person, Pratishtita, becomes firm. So the short meaning of this sloka is, O Arjuna, therefore, the knowledge of that person whose sense organs are completely withdrawn from the sense objects, that knowledge becomes firm. And interestingly here, Krishna is addressing Arjuna as, He Mahabaho, O mighty armed Arjuna. Mahabaho means the one who has got very strong and mighty arms. And indirectly he is indicating, Hey Arjuna, one may be mighty armed with reference to one's prowess and skill. But what is needed for self-knowledge is to be mighty armed emotionally. That is strong in the mind, which is much more difficult. As we have seen right in the first chapter, even though Arjuna was a Mahabaho, but he was emotionally very weak. That's why at the end of the first chapter, he collapsed. Emotional collapse took place. So the prowess and skills that Arjuna had gathered to earn his name as the mighty armed, no doubt, they were great in their own sphere, in that he was able to control all the external enemies. But his ability to control this inner enemy or inner, the mind and the sense organs, that was the issue here. To control the senses, to withdraw them from their respective objects, means an ability to withdraw them at will. Just as we have seen the example of turtle, which withdraws its heads and limbs into its shell wherever or whenever it senses any danger. What does this mean? It is not only withdrawing them at will, but also releasing them at will. If you want to release the sense objects, release them. If you want to withdraw them, withdraw them. That control, that is the control. You make the sense organs and the mind obey to your commands, not that you fall in line with their commands. This is the meaning of control. And only when you have the capacity to withdraw your senses at will can your knowledge be steady. What does this mean? The idea here is that knowledge becomes steady when the mind is freed from the pressure of Raga Dvesha. Puja Swamiji very beautifully, and this is the whole theme of Bhagavad Gita also rather. Krishna talks about this management of Raga Dvesha throughout Bhagavad Gita. And that is the secret of this. As long as your mind is afflicted by this Raga and Dvesha, and that too binding Raga and binding Dvesha, you will never be able to gain any control over the sense organs and the mind. Because the Raga Dvesha are so strong that they will drag the sense organs and mind away from what you are commanding to their own sphere of likes and dislikes. Therefore, to the extent that you master your likes and dislikes, to that extent your knowledge will stay with you. And only when your raga dveshas are neutralized, you can enjoy the benefits of your knowledge. And in the final analysis, we will find that the pressure of raga dvesha, when they become less, the benefits of the knowledge increases rather. When raga dveshas have got no say in your life, when they are all neutralized, when it makes no difference to you whether a desire is fulfilled or not, then only the knowledge is complete. Only then there is no hindrance to the self-knowledge. And as I was saying, the entire presentation of yoga, in the Gita is with reference to this raga dveshas only. As Pujya Swamiji says, the psychology of Gita is raga dvesha psychology. And as a psychology, Gita itself is adequate and complete. When we are dealing with normal people, this raga dvesha psychology is enough. Raga dvesha psychology implies an order. What is that order? Dharma, adharma order. And dharma, adharma is what is looked upon as Ishvara, who is the karma phala dhata, giver of the fruits of action. Once we come into that framework of our mind, that frame of mind, when you develop that karma yoga attitude, when you start discriminating between dharma and adharma and decide to follow a dharmic way of life, when you look up at Ishvara as the final giver of fruits of action, when you fully understand whatever I do, whatever karma I do, I am sowing a seed for a future result, which I am only going to get. I sow a seed. It is not that my son or my grandson are going to reap that result. I am myself going to reap the result of every seed of karma that I sow. Once I understand that, I realize that, I accept that, that itself brings about a certain neutralization of one's raga dveshas. That taking care of raga dvesha itself brings about a certain tranquility, a cheerfulness to the mind. Because whatever situations you confront in your life, you don't question yourself, why is this happening to me? That question becomes redundant. You know why it is happening to you. Others may be asking this question, why me, oh God? But you will never ask that question if you understand what Vedanta is trying to convey. So the mind, irrespective of whatever circumstances you are facing in your life, it maintains a certain samatvam, a certain tranquility, a certain peace. And that itself, as we saw earlier, brings a cheerfulness. And as the cheerfulness increases, one's own knowledge becomes clearer and clearer. Conversely, also it is true. As the knowledge becomes clearer, one's own cheerfulness also increases. So ultimately, if you actually look at the two sides of the scale, on the one side is ragadveshas, other side is cheerfulness. When the ragadveshas become strong, cheerfulness becomes weak. And when ragadveshas become less, cheerfulness increases. Because all our pressures in our life are caused by these ragadveshas only. But that does not mean that you should not have any ragadveshas at all. Just as a bird requires both wings to take off, so too we require both the wings. Certain degree of ragadveshas are important. We have been seeing this again and again. What the Shastra is trying to tell us is, don't have binding ragadveshas. Non-binding ragadveshas, no problem. You can have desire fulfilled. It is okay. Not fulfilled, also it is okay. We also require inquiry and proper attitude to glide into this knowledge. So one wing is as important as the other. And that is why, Krishna is advocating a karma yoga attitude, and at the same time he is emphasizing on indriya nigraha, mano nigraha, and nididhyasanam. All these sadhanas, they comprise one package for the moksha pursuit. They are complementing each other. They are not individual discretion, that is, this is separate, that is separate. No, everything is a one package rather. So with this sloka, Krishna concludes the Sthita Prajna Sadhanani. You remember, first few slokas, he said about Sthita Prajna Lakshanani. Then he moved into Sthita Prajna Sadhanani. And that's why he says Tasmat. Therefore, the word Tasmat indicates that Krishna was now summing up this section, dealing with the description of the mind of a person who has a vision and who is making an effort to make his own or her own knowledge steady. And he explained that in so much details, emphasizing again and again the need for mano nigraha and indriya nigraha, because the senses are turbulent. If the senses are turbulent, then they could rob away the mind of such a person. And we discussed all these things, how this happens and all that. So he says, Tasma, therefore, since the sense control plays a very important role in spiritual growth, Yasya Indriyani Nigrihitani, the one whose sense organs are restrained, means what? The seeker's sense organs must be restrained. One point we must remember here, and which I made it earlier also, and we have to always remember, because this is one of the points whenever we are talking about of restraining the sense organs. Many people, especially who want to attack this philosophy, they try to develop a narrative that Bhagavad Gita is actually advocating suppression of sense organs. And the psychologists say, uniformly, that suppression is an extremely dangerous proposition, especially suppression of the sense organs. And in our culture, in our religion, we repeatedly talk about indriya nigraha, sense control, and mano nigraha. While on the one hand, many people misunderstand control as suppression, some misguided or mischievous Western psychologists who study the Eastern systems warn the people that our religion is prescribing suppression, which is extremely dangerous for psychological health. And therefore, what they say, do not suppress, let go. Now, in our system, letting go also is equally dangerous. If suppression is dangerous, expression or violent and uncontrolled expression is also dangerous. Therefore, we must understand what Gita prescribes is neither suppression nor unintelligent expression. What Gita prescribes is intelligent regulation. Because if you look at the flow of a river, stopping the river is also dangerous, because if you block the river flow, there will be flood. And if you let the river flow in its own direction, then also it could be a waste of water, because the water will go into the ocean and we will not be able to use the river water in a productive manner. In one way, it will cause a great harm to the society. Therefore, neither stop the river, not allow the river to flow into the ocean, but what you do, dam the river, channelize the water in the direction that you want. Therefore, what Gita is prescribing is channelization of the sensory energy, channelization of the mental energy. In fact, modern day scientists say that we are not utilizing our full mental capacity and intellectual energy capacity. It's all dissipated. And by doing this, by applying an awareness as to what our sense organs are doing, what our mind is doing, by regulating their activities, we are only tapping our full potential. Nigrihitani, nigrahanam here means channelization. Even though the literal meaning will be restraint. But we must understand here what Krishna is saying. Yasya indriyani nigrihitani does not mean the one whose sense organs are restrained. It means the ones whose sense organs and mind are channelized in the right direction. There is an intelligent use of the mental energy. And this channelization is nothing new for us. It means what? You are channelizing this, your sense organs and your mind, energy of your sense organ, energy of your mind, towards something that you want to acquire. You focus towards that. Concentration increases. And by that, you are leaving out all the other unwanted thoughts, unwanted actions, or unwanted straying of the sense organs. And we have experienced this as children. We would be small children. I remember even now I see some children do that. They will be lying on the floor near a wall. They'll be lying on their stomach, not on the back, on the stomach. Some children will be, waving their legs also. They are in a very, very cheerful mood. And they will see one small ant moving the corner of the wall. And they will be totally, their mind and eyes will be totally fixed on the movement of that ant. Swami Paramatmananda says, it will be like Nirvikalpa Samadhi. As a child, we have practiced this. Therefore, we have the capacity to do it. Let the mother call anything, father say anything, the child's concentration will not be moved from the observing the moving act. Therefore, even if the heaven falls in between, our concentration will not be broken. Unfortunately, as we grow up, we lose that ability to concentrate. In the name of growth and whatever it is, achievements and all, we lose that concentration. Therefore, a person, a seeker, should master the sense organ. Tasya prajna pratishtita. Then only he can receive the knowledge, and the knowledge will stay with him, and it will also be well assimilated. So this is where Krishna concludes this Sthita Prajna Lakshanani and Sthita Prajna Sadhanani. This section rather. So Sthita Prajna Lakshanani, first he discussed in 3 slokas. Sloka 55, 56 and 57. Then Sthita Prajna Sadhanani, he dealt with in more details in 11 slokas. Sloka 58 to 68. This is the last sloka, 11 verses. Now, from verse 69 to 72, that is the end of this chapter, Krishna is again reverting back to the topic of Sthita Prajna Lakshanani. You remember, Arjuna asked that question, what are the traits of a Sthita Prajna? Sthita Prajnasya ka bhasha? What are the natural traits of a person who is established in this wisdom? That means what? That person for whom all the sadhanas are over, that person is no more a sadhaka. He has become what we call in Sanskrit a Siddha Purusha. As we all know, difference between a sadhaka and Siddha is that sadhaka is one who is in the process of transformation, whereas Siddha is one who has accomplished complete transformation. And it is the Siddha Purusha, the Sthira Prajna, that Krishna is going to talk about in the following 4 verses, 69 to 72, which concludes this chapter. And the first sloka is a very interesting sloka. It's a very complicated sloka. Many people have difficulty in understanding this sloka. In fact, one of our students, Mr. Hari, he raised this question. He wanted me to explain this sloka a few classes earlier, but I told him that I don't know whether he is present today. I told him that when we come to that, I will explain this sloka because it is not very easy to explain this sloka. We will read the sloka. Ya nisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagrati sanyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato munehe. The Anvaya for this sloka is Sanyami Jagarti Tasyam Ya Nisha Sarva Bhutanam Pashyataha Munehe Sa Nisha Yasyam Bhutani Jagrati. Sanyami. Sanyami we can translate as a sage, as a Sthira Prajna. Jagarti is awake. Tasyam, to his own self, to the Atma. Ya Nisha, which is night. Sarva Bhutanam, for all beings. Pashyataha Munehe, for the wise sage. They see, Sa, that here refers to the world of duality. Nisha, night. Yasyam, to which Bhutani, all beings, Jagrati, are awake. Now you will realize what is the complication of this sloka. If you take the literal meaning, it will be very difficult to understand this sloka. I mean, the basic simple meaning is a sthira prajna, a sage, a muni is awake to the Atma, which is night for all the beings. For the wise sage, that world of duality is night to which all beings are awake. Or to put it differently, as Puja Swamiji says, in that which is night for all beings, the one who is wise, who has mastery over oneself, is awake. That in which beings are awake is night for the wise one who sees. Now, don't immediately conclude that who are the people who are awake at night and who are the people who are sleeping. We will find that in today's world of technology, it's the same set of people who are awake at night and who sleep during day also. So they are both Jnani and Ajnani at the same time. Anyhow, jokes apart. As I said, all these important verses, they are very important. They are often quoted. And especially these next two, 69 and 70, Krishna talks about the glory of a sthira prajna, who is established in self-knowledge. And in order to talk about this glory of such a person, Krishna is comparing this jnani to an ordinary ajnani in this verse. So there is a clean contrast. One side jnani, another side ajnani. One side samsari, one side mukta purusha. The contrast is given. First, we will try to understand what Krishna is trying to convey here, and then we will go to the sloka. Okay. What Krishna wants to convey is this. Both a jnani and a ajnani face the same world. It is not that after gaining wisdom, after becoming sthira prajna, a jnani is going to face a special world, which is all hunky-dory, very fine world, and the samsari is going to face this day-to-day what we are facing today. It is not so. The world is going to be the same. The world cannot be changed. The people are going to be the same. The circumstances are going to be the same. The objects are going to be the same. Everything is going to be the same. Because Vedanta does not attempt to challenge the world or change the world. Changing the world is a very impractical idea. Vedanta does not attempt to change the world, nor does it attempt to change the people around, because it is again impractical. We must understand that between the spouses, most of the disputes or disagreements, they all come up because one is trying to change the other to one's own ways. Right from the day of marriage, or sometimes these days before the marriage itself rather, when they are doing, what they very, very decently called, we are trying to find out our compatibility. This is the use they use. So when they are trying to do that, at that time also, the attempt is, these are my raga dveshas, these are my preferences. I want my partner also to be converted, to change his or her own preferences to my preferences. And this goes on from both the sides. And that is the root cause of all disputes, all conflicts, all fights. Therefore, the first lesson Vedanta says, and this need not necessarily be between the spouses. It could be trying to change your children, children trying to change the parents. It could be anything. Wherever we have an interaction between individuals, There is an inherent psychological pressure that I want to control the other person, and I can do so only if that I am able to change that other person to my way of thinking, to my way of doing things. Vedanta says you are being a fool if you are going to attempt it, because changing people is impractical. If at all any change comes about in anybody, it comes about because that person himself has decided to change. Using his free will, he brings about the change in his own personality. Nobody can change anybody else's personality. But what Vedanta is trying to do, it is only trying to change the way that one looks at the world. The way I look at the people, the way I respond to situation, that is in my control, that I can change. And therefore, a Vedantin never attempts to make any worldly changes. He lets the world go on as it is. I only change my attitude towards the world rather. And the world is going to be the same. Let the hundreds of thousands and lakhs of millions of Mahatmas come and go. Compared to the population of the world, the Mahatmas who are born, they are minuscule. So the world will be the same. The corrupt world will be the same. The world with lot of problems will be the same. There will be cheating. There will be people who are lying. There will be people who are misbehaving. There will be people who insult others. All these people would be the same for a jnani also. No difference, same world. And not only that, we must remember, jnani has also got a prarabdha. As we have seen in Tattva Bodha, jnanam will not destroy prarabdha. A jnani destroys his past sanchita karmas. Jnani avoids fresh agami karma. But a jnani also has to face the prarabdham, which means what? Ups and downs in life. Be it in materialistic terms, be it in health terms, be it in terms of the respect that people pay. There will be ups and downs. There will be people who will be praising the jnani. There will be people who will be cursing the jnani. So jnani cannot change his prarabdha also. A prarabdha is like a fired bullet or a shot arrow. It cannot be stopped midway. Once a person is born with a certain prarabdha karmas, which have to give their results during this life, they will not stop. They will make sure that all the results with the bundle of the prarabdha karma with which we are born, those results are experienced by us, whether good or bad. And when the prarabdha karma stock finishes, this body falls. The person dies. So now, question is, if both jnani and ajnani live in the same world, then what is the difference in their response? And Krishna points out in this sloka, in a very cryptic language, that the response is going to be diagonally or diametrically opposite because of the change of perspective. And Krishna is going to give an example, which we will study later when we come to the sloka. But Swami Paramathananda gives two beautiful examples, which I will share it with you, which is relatively simpler for us to understand. Now imagine there are two people who are seated on a beach, on a sea beach. Both are looking at the ocean. Both are seeing the waves rising and setting and getting destroyed also. What both see is the same, that is the waves. But imagine one person knows the truth of the wave, and that is water. He understands that there is no such thing called a wave. What I am seeing as a wave is nothing but a name and form of the water in the ocean. So you can say he has got wave wisdom. He is a wave jnani. And that wisdom is what? Wave is nothing but the name and form of water. The truth of the wave, therefore, is nothing but water. This is the perspective, the understanding of one person. So that person sees the indestructible. I always get it. The water which cannot be destroyed. It is a eternal. Relatively, I'm saying. Water is always there. The ocean water is always there. Let hundreds of waves come. Let hundreds of waves disappear. The water remains the same. That water is immortal. And therefore, that person does not focus upon the perishable or the changing waves. He is absorbed in the immortal truth, which is non-dual, Advaita, Nitya Jalam. There is only one thing in this ocean. As I see, there is only water. So, one person is absorbed in that truth because water is only one. Now imagine the other person who does not know the truth of the wave and therefore is absorbed in the superficial names and forms only, and therefore he takes the wave as a reality. And when I am absorbed in the waves, when I am enjoying the beauty of the waves, when I am seeing, oh, such a big wave, it is gone so many feet high. See the beautiful froth which is coming when the wave is moving. When I am totally absorbed in that wave, I am going to see only the perishable waves. And not only that, whenever I see a new wave is born, I am very happy. I jump with joy. I even celebrate the birthday of that wave. And every day I cut the cakes also, distribute gifts also, because I am absorbed in the mortal wave. Not only that I am absorbed in that, I even form relatives and friends. Wave relatives, wave friends. And in the invitation cards that I send out, I say, with best compliments from friends and relatives, each one wave. One friend, one wave, one relative, one wave. So I'm totally absorbed in the wave name and form. And when I have got this kind of a fixation with the wave, I see mortality. I see plurality. There are so many waves. Waves are born and they die. This is my perspective as an Ajnani. Now, both the Ajnani and the Jnani, they are looking at the same ocean. One sees Dvaita Anitya Tarangini, Tarangani. Dvaita means pluralistic, not dualistic also you can say. Anitya means perishable. Tarangani means waves. Whereas the another person, the Jnani, who was focused only upon Advaita Nitya Jalam, the eternal, non-dual water. So Dvaita Anitya Tarangani is the ignorant person's vision, and Advaita Nitya Jalam is the wise person's vision. And because of this change of perspective, what is the difference in response? When the ignorant person is attached to the pluralistic perishable waves, the tragedy is when every wave is born, he touches the ceiling with happiness, he jumps with joy. When the wave perishes, he is going to be shocked by that event. He is going to be grieved by that event. He becomes very gloomy. Oh, it was such a beautiful wave. It was such a nice wave. I saw it all right from the time it rose. All the while I saw it coming towards the seashore. So beautiful. Now my wave is gone. I was so much attached to this wave. One was my grandfather wave. Another was my grandchild wave. This is my wife's wave. This is the husband wave. They are born, I am happy. They are gone, I am sad. And there is crying and beating the chest all around. Whereas in the neighborhood, there is the other person who sees that the birth and death belong to only the superficial name and form. The content, the essence does not have mortality. Therefore, having understood this, he is absorbed in immortality. Therefore, there is neither elation in the birth of a wave, nor there is a depression in the death of a wave. Therefore, one is absorbed in Advaitam, immortality. Another is absorbed in Dvaitam, mortality. Swami Paramatmananda gives one more example. He gives the example of a movie and the characters in a movie, in a film, go to a theater. Initially, when you enter the theater, what you see the truth of a white, pure screen on the stage. And at that time, you know that the screen alone is there. Then the movie starts. The characters all come. The hero comes, the heroine comes, the villain comes. There is fight, there is climax, there is romance, there is songs. All those things are there. And what happens? Gradually, I get absorbed in that pluralistic, superficial shadows of characters. What are those characters? They have no reality. They are just projections on the real screen, which is white. The real white screen has no colors, no shape from the point of view, from the perspective of the characters. And that's why factually there are no characters other than shades of light. What is a character which we see in a movie, in a screen? Nothing but a film which is through which a certain light is passed and the shades of lights are created, and that is what makes the character. But I am so much absorbed in the superficial characters that I lose the sight of the truth behind the characters, which is nothing but the white screen, which is Advaitam. And the moment I lose sight of the screen, the characters which are nothing but shadows, they become a reality. And when the villain is trying to cheat the hero or shoot him from behind, even we feel like shouting to the hero to look behind for the attacker villain. We are so much absorbed. We have seen some all these bhakti movies. Some old ladies will get up and do namaskara to the character which is being projected in the screen. People do harati to the characters, Krishna and all that projected on the screen. So much of reality they attribute to that, to those characters which are nothing but shadows. So much they are absorbed. But as people who have certain discriminatory power, we know actually at the back of our mind that there is no hero, no villain, no shooting, nothing is there. We know that. But at that moment when we are absorbed in the climax scene, it is capable of making us forget the truth of the screen and get lost in the superficial shadows. Therefore, the one who knows that everything is the screen, he is not carried away by the movie. He appreciates the movie. He might even what you call appreciate the acting of the hero or heroine. But once he comes out of the movie, he says the heroine died very well. She did very good. That means she acted very well. He's not going to grieve because the heroine died. You are not carried away by these scenes there. But the moment the screen is forgotten, the movie moves you. And that is why it is probably called a movie. Swami Paramatananda very humorously says, Movyate sarvan iti movie. That which moves everybody is a movie. So therefore, there are two drishtis, an Advaita drishti and a Dvaita drishti. Jnani has got Advaita drishti, which is the essence of creation, which is the truth, which is revealed by the Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita about creation. Whereas an Ajnani has got a Dvaita drishti. He will be giving reality to birth and death and will go on crying endlessly. Both live in the same world, but both have got different perspective, different approach, different understanding of what constitutes this world. More we will see in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you all very much.
Namaskaram, Guruji. Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaskaram, Guruji. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Guruji.
Thank
Hari
you.
Om. Hari Om.
Guruji,
Hari Om Guruji.
Guruji,
Dhanyavadah.
Guruji,
Namaskaram, Guruji.
Yes,
Namaskaram.
Namaskar.
this change or
One
change or
second.
transformation. Sorry.
Yeah. The people are leaving.
Change.
They want to leave, let them leave. Then we will discuss. Yeah, change or transformation.
I don't know if I have understood correctly. Is it possible or not possible?
What do you understand by change or transformation?
No, like for example, you take Valmiki. What was he before? And how did he
was
write Ramayana?
Yeah. That story and all is there. Very much there.
Hmm.
See, whenever we are talking about a change here, in Vedanta, we don't talk about any physical change or any perceptible change. It is only change of perspective, change of attitude. Everything else remaining the same, we just change the perspective, the way we look at everything.
Okay.
So, from a Vedanta point of view, we are not talking about any real change happening. Everything remains the same only. Now, when you are talking about Valmiki and all that, I mean, that's my take, because I don't have much of I can't speak with authority on that. But when we try to understand what is that message of Valmiki's transformation which gives us is that even for a person who was all totally doing adharma, it is possible for him to change his ways to dharmic ways if he gets a guru like Narada. Because Narada was the one who told him to meditate upon Rama.
Instead of Rama, he
That
said
wa-
Mara, Mara, Mara. It became
Yeah,
Rama,
so
Rama,
he was,
Rama.
Valmiki knew only Mara.
Correct.
So he told him, you just go on saying Mara, 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 Rama, it becomes Rama, 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 Rama. So you meditate upon that, right? So the point that I understand, my takeaway from the Valmiki story of conversion is that if you get the right guru, even when you have got a totally different lifestyle, it is possible for you to change it in such a way that you become a great scholar, one of the most revered poets in the history, and you are able to give a Mahakavyam like Ramayana, you are able to compose. A person who is supposed to be illiterate, he is given us such a wonderful, full of Sanskrit. I mean, the Ramayana Sanskrit is really beautiful. So it gives the message that nothing is impossible in this world, my dear sadhaka. Don't think, oh, this is not possible for me. I have become old. I've got only a few more years to live. Whether I can do all these things within this all my years I have wasted, probably, of course, I have got regrets for that. All these questions should not come in our mind. If Valmiki can be transferred, I can also be transferred. All I require is the grace of a Guru and Bhagawad. Any movement, this whole transformation can take place. So I should be positive. I should actually work towards the transformation if I'm serious about it. That is the message I will say. So whenever we talk of change, we only talk of changing ourselves, changing our perspective, changing our attitude, changing the way we look at the world. Because as I said, it is just like the dog's bone. World has got neither happiness nor sorrow to give you. All experiences of happiness and grief, we ourselves are responsible. We dig our own grave and then we blame the world. So these are all the philosophical messages, takeaways from all these stories from Vedanta. And we can relate any incident that you come up with Vedanta message of Vedanta. If we apply our mind, it's not difficult to correlate these things and understand the basic message which is being conveyed. That is what I would say.
No, true. Like, for example, even Tihar jail, if you take, Kiran Bedi, she did transform a number of criminals.
Yeah.
And gave them opportunity to do skill development.
Exactly. So if you condemn see a criminal as incorrigible, condemn him, then it's a different perspective. If you see a criminal as a human being, okay, he has fallen into bad ways for certain circumstances, but I can at least try to give him a perspective by which he can change himself. That's what she did. And we have got so many success stories like that, where the Valmikis have been transformed into Mahakavis. There's so many instances. We dig into our history, we'll find hundreds of them. So many are there. So that is what our takeaway is from this.
So in other words, change is possible if you get the right guru.
Sorry, your voice is breaking. Change is possible. Is the problem with my this thing or your this thing? I don't know.
No.
Network.
Change is possible right on the right direction. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Somewhere probably the link is breaking, perhaps.
Link is breaking. Change is possible. Two conditions should be satisfied. One, I must use my free will to make the change. Number one, right? And that change should be within myself. I cannot change anybody else. Second thing is, if I don't know in what manner I should change, I must get a guide who can actually guide me how I can change myself. That's all is there about change management. Not the change management which the modern business gurus talk about, but this is change management of the self.
No, but for example, people with depression, they go to psychologists, psychiatrists, for counseling and so on. And they should be willing.
Yes.
Then only they can expect a change.
Exactly. See, for Shraddha, which is again and again, which is emphasized in our scriptures, is a very, very important. I'll tell you an incident. In Nana Nani only, one of my students, the couple, they were my students earlier, when I was in Nana Nani. But later on, they dropped out of my class. Even they were attending Bhagavad Gita classes also in the initial stages. They dropped out. And I found that the husband was very sick. He developed this Parkinson's disease.
Okay.
And almost sort of a bedridden. He was always in the bed. He couldn't move anything and all that. Very difficult situation. So naturally, anybody who was little active and all that, he will go into depression and all that. And the wife was tending to him, 24/7 and all that. Nice couple, very nice couple. In fact, they have done a lot of work for Chinmaya Mission and all that. Very religious, spiritual people. But they could not face this thing. Now, recently, when I was in Coimbatore, I went to their house to give the invitation for my son's marriage because I knew them very well. I found that this gentleman was sitting on a table and he was watching, doing something on a laptop. Then I was surprised because I went with the expectation of seeing him in the bed, right? But this fellow was sitting and then he just turned around. He said, "Mr. Ganapathy, please give me 5 minutes. I am in the midst of something. I'll finish it and then join." I said, "Okay, no problem." Then he finished, then he turned around and then we were talking. And I said, "What happened? You have almost 95% recovered from this Parkinson's disease. Last time when I saw you, you could not even move out of the bed." He said, "It is all because of pranic healing."
Okay.
We have so many systems of healing in our country, in our culture. One system has worked wonders for him. And he says that pranic healer, for 2 or 3 sessions, he came and personally administered the treatment. After that, he is administering the treatment through internet on the laptop. So I was actually taking treatment from him 1 hour every day. He asks, he gives me treatment through laptop, and I am feeling perfectly okay now. I am able to move around. I am becoming normal and all that.
Very good.
But the one point he emphasized that this will work only for those people who have got faith in this healing.
Faith.
You cannot approach this system as one more thing. I have done 100 things, let this be 101. You cannot approach this with any skepticism, rather. You have to you have to surrender to this system, accept it, and that this is going to heal me. I am positive, 100% sure, and then I fully surrender myself. And this is a real pratyaksha proof in my friend. And recently in Bombay, one of my neighbors, he also a young fellow, about 50, in his 50s, he developed Parkinson's disease. So I got the number of that pranic healing fellow from this Nana Nani friend, and I thought I will give it to this guy. In the meantime, he has gone for some surgery and all that to do some implant and all that. So yesterday I was with him and I told him that about this. He was so impressed. He says, "Is it possible?" I said, "I don't know. I'll give you this number of this pranic healer. Talk to him." But I said,
Give it a try.
Give it a try. No harm. You must have faith in it. If you have full faith in it, Shraddha in it, it will, that is my belief, it will happen. So ultimately, we come around to that only thing. Whatever we do in our life, sincerity, commitment, faith, surrender to that, we must develop that attitude. That is very important. Without that, it won't work. And that's why if you do Vishnu Sahasranamam chanting for 25 years, and whether it will work or it will not work, whether it will work, it will not work, if you have the doubt in your mind, it will not work. You chant Vishnu Sahasranamam with the full faith that it is going to work, and Bhagavan is my only refuge, it will work. So this is something that we have to apply our mind, apply our, all the faculties, and then develop that Shraddha in all this. That is what
Very
is my advice to everybody. That
Thank you very
yes,
much, Guruji. Thank
a
you
lot
very
of
much.
hands which are, thank you, Hari Om. Lots of hands have gone up. I don't know which is the order,
Yes, yes,
but
that's
anybody
right.
can. We will answer all the questions, so no problem.
So
Anjali ji, yours is, sorry, yeah, Sitaram, tell me.
I have only one comment to add. Any
Yeah.
problem, first is accept that there is an issue, and then be determined to change yourself. Then everything works, falls in line. The moment you start denying, you are in a mode of denial, then you are in for serious trouble.
Correct.
Absolutely.
What
Well,
I-
denial mode doesn't, you won't change also. In denial mode, whatever opportunity to change also, you will just neglect that opportunity.
Yes.
That's what, right?
Thank you.
Very true. Very true. Thank you. Hari Om. Yes, next is whom? Lataji?
Pranam Guruji.
Pranam.
Thank you very much for the session. Guruji, I have two questions. One is about when you are explaining about the Raga Dvesha, that not to have a binding Raga Dvesha, that's important. And then when you were explaining this, you also referred to it as it is a necessity like the two wings for a bird. So that bit I could not completely fathom.
Yeah.
That's,
See,
that,
Raga
that, that's one
Yeah.
question, Guruji. And the second
okay.
one is if you could kindly explain once again briefly about you have explained several times the three types of karmas.
Okay. Okay. First, I will deal with the Raga Dvesha. See, as a human being, we are born, Raga Dveshas will be there. The scriptures do not advocate to get rid of Raga Dveshas. The scriptures advocate us to manage the Raga Dvesha. That's the first step. Likes and dislikes will be there for any human being who is interacting with the world. The only way you can have no likes and dislikes is shut yourself up in some room and then lock it from outside, throw the key in the river. You have no interaction with the world, you will have no likes and dislikes. But even then also, your past interaction with the world may bring back memories of likes and dislikes, and you may still be agitated. Because if you analyze what causes agitation in our mind, at the end analysis, it is this Raga Dveshas which cause all agitations. You can reduce everything to ultimately likes and dislikes. So what Shastra says is that not telling you not to have likes and dislikes is totally impractical. It is unnatural. You will have likes and dislikes, but what you should learn is how to channelize them, how to manage them. What kind of an attitude you must develop towards your likes and dislikes. And that attitude is an attitude of, if I get it, I like this and I want it. If I get it, well and good. But if I don't get it, also I am fine. Because every time, if you do this analysis your own self, you may have a very strong desire for something or some person. Suppose that desire is not fulfilled. What will happen? Most of the cases I'm saying, for a few days you will be very depressed. You may be having some trouble. After that, you will carry on with your life. Isn't it? I mean, we have seen couples, when the husband dies, the wife says, oh my God, I've seen this literally happening. He has left me alone in this world. I also want to go with him. I have no reason to live and blah, blah, blah. Big drama takes place, everybody trying to console her and all that. After 10 days, 15 days, you see the same wife going to cinema theater, going to a musical program, decked in all sorts of saris and all that. This is the reality. So from that, what we gain, it's not a criticism, but the point is, all these likes and dislikes, it does not matter much whether we get it, we don't get it. If we get it, okay, that momentarily we are happy. Getting the likes fulfilled also is a problem, as I mentioned in one of the earlier classes. It leads to greed. Oh, I wanted this, I got it. Now let me want something more. I wanted 1 lakh rupees. I thought that if I get 1 lakh rupees, I will be happy. I got 1 lakh. I am happy. Now let me go for 10 lakhs. So there is a danger in the likes getting fulfilled also. And all these things, this is what we must try to sit and analyze. Not debate, analyze ourselves. Ultimately, what these likes and dislikes are all about. If I get it, well and good. So many things we have wanted in our life, right? We might not have got it. Does it mean that our life has ended? We carry on. We carry on with some other, we change our likes, we change our dislikes, we carry on. Right? Sometimes we may have an intense dislike for some person. But does that mean that we destroy that person? Don't. In fact, that person may later on become a very, very likable person also, possibly. All this keeps on changing rather. Therefore, what Krishna says or what our scriptures say is that you will have likes and dislikes, but you learn to manage them. You try to apply your mind every time when your like is there and it is fulfilled or not fulfilled. When you have a dislike, it is fulfilled or not fulfilled. So Raga Dvesha management is the central theme of the entire Bhagavad Gita. In different ways, Krishna brings this Raga Dvesha business into the conversation there with Arjuna. And the crux of the matter is, if you know how to manage your Raga Dvesha, if you develop a proper attitude towards your Raga Dvesha, you will be guaranteed having happiness only. You will never ever be grieving or sobbing or crying, all that. So that is something that we have to develop, that attitude. Okay. So this is about Raga Dveshas. They are necessary, they are important, but at the same time, we must not become slaves to the Raga Dveshas. We must be able to channelize our Raga Dveshas, channelize, because see, even Gyanis, I mean, Adi Shankara Acharya, who can be a greater Gyani in our lifetime than Adi Shankara, whom we know very closely? He had likes, he had ragas, he wanted to set up mutts all over India. He wanted to spread the Advaita philosophy, Advaita message to everybody. He had ragas, he wanted to write bhashyam for so many things. What are all these things? I like to write the bhashyam, I like to set up mutts, I like to spread the message of the Upanishad. These are all ragas only. So, even Adi Shankara, when he is not Puja Swamiji, you take, he also had raga. I want to teach people. I want to share the knowledge that I have got with people. It's a raga only. It's a like. I like to do this. I like to do this. When you say, what is it? It is raga only. But where we should apply that raga, all that things are matters of our own developing an attitude towards that, how to manage. So if that reply satisfies you, I will go to your next question.
Yes, Guruji, very much.
Second question is about the karmas, which we have seen in our scripture, the karmas are categorized into 3 types of karmas. Basically, whatever action we do, as I told in this class also, is a seed that we are sowing for a plant to grow and give us some fruits at a later stage. That could be a poisonous plant, that could be a fruit-bearing plant. We don't know that. It will depend upon the kind of seed I sow. If I sow a seed of adharma, seed of an action which is adharmic, then rest assured, it will turn into a poisonous plant, and I will suffer the consequences of that either in this own life or in some future life. Similarly, if I sow the seed of a dharmic action, I will certainly reap the benefits of that dharmic action by having pleasant experiences in this life or in future life. So whenever we have pleasant experiences in this life, we must always attribute that to all the good dharmic actions that we have done in the past life or even in this life before this time. And similarly, whatever unpleasant experiences that we have, we can attribute our own adharmic actions either in this life in the past or in the past lives. Now, what the Shastras do is, and as I said, it is a seed. And every seed has got its own gestation period. It is not that all the seeds are of the same type and they will all mature at the same time. No. Different seeds, they require certain circumstances for them to mature. And those circumstances may be there in this life, or it may be there in the next life, or it may come after 100 lives. We don't know that. So what the Shastra says is that all the karmas, all the seeds of karmas that you sow, they are all actually go into a basket called Sanchita Karma. They are all collected in the basket or bundle of Sanchita Karmas. Starting point. Then what happens? Out of the basket of Sanchita Karmas, which may probably be having millions of seeds, well, we must remember every action, every thought, we are sowing a seed. When you think, when there is a thought of causing harm to somebody, whether you physically cause the harm or not, the very thought, you are sowing a dharmic seed. So there will be billions of seeds in our Sanchita Karma bundle, Sanchita Karma basket. Out of that, depending upon the nature of that karma, a certain portion of the Sanchita Karma, they become ready for maturing in one's life. When that happens is what we are born. Whether we are born as a human being, whether we are born as an animal, and animal also, which animal? We are dog, cat, lion, tiger, snake, reptile, or even a worm. That is called prarabdha karma. The maturing karma out of the bundle of Sanchita Karma is called prarabdha karma. And the prarabdha karma that runs for one life. This life, because of the maturity of certain karmas which I have done in the past, certain karmas which we call prarabdha karmas matured for me in this life, and I have got a human form. I am born in so and so family with so and so parents in so and so country, in so and so culture. It's all determined by the prarabdha karma. Now what happens? Whatever prarabdha karma results are coming out, I experience those results in this life itself. But in this life also, I am doing more and more karmas. I am sowing more and more seeds of karmas, good seed and also poisonous seeds. Those things which I do in this life, they are called agami karmas. So what happens is, you have start with a bundle of Sanchita Karma. Let us say you had a balance of 100 units of Sanchita Karmas when you are born, right? Out of the 100 units of Sanchita Karmas, 10 units of Prarabdha Karma was utilized for your current birth, which matured and which is giving you the results for whatever you are experiencing in this birth. But in this birth, you have accumulated another 15 units of Prarabdha Karma, 15 units of Agami Karma, because of the actions that you have done during this birth. And suppose some of the actions which you have done during this birth, they give result here itself. Immediately they give you the result. Both Drishtafalam and Adrishtafalam you get here itself. Let us say that number is 7. So 15 units you sowed the seed, out of which 7 have matured in this life itself. So at the time of death, you are left with what? 8 units of Agami Karma. Are you following the arithmetic here? So you started with 100 units, out of which 10 units became Prarabdha Karma. So Sanchita Karma, what is left is 90 units, right? And in this birth, the 10 units you will exhaust, but you earned 15 and you spent 7. And you are left with 8 units of Agami Karma. So when a person dies, he will have 98 units of Sanchita Karma, because the remaining Agami Karma, they will go and join the Sanchita Karma bundle, and that will become 98 now instead of 100. Out of that 98, similar process is followed. Another set of Prarabdha Karmas, they will come out. And then if it happens to be a human birth, then you will have more actions to do. But if it happens to be a plant or an animal birth, no Agami Karmas are there. This karma theory applies only to human beings, because we have got the free will. We can decide to do dharmic action, we can decide not to do dharmic action. If we decide to do adharmic action, then we have to suffer the consequences. If we decide to do dharmic action, then we have got a right to receive the fruits of that dharmic action. So animals do not have this. So if out of 98 units, suppose there are 8 units maturing and you are born as an animal. The jiva is born as an animal. At the end of that, death of that animal, that jiva will be left with 90 units of Sanchita Karma, because 8 units have been exhausted in that whatever animal life. So the jiva will be having 90 units. And this goes on after life, after punarapi jananam, punarapi mananam, it goes on and on and on. Sanchita Karma will never exhaust. Because somewhere or the other, you will keep getting a human birth, and in that human birth, you will be accumulating more and more karmas, and there will be some left, and then they will go to the Sanchita Karma. That will go on continuously. Shastra says the only way to get rid of the Sanchita Karmas and also this rebirth is knowledge, self-knowledge. That's it, period. Gain self-knowledge, all Sanchita Karmas are burned, finished, taken care of. So this is the way the karma thing operates. It's a very simple explanation I've given. If you go into karma theory, a lot more complications are there, which if I start telling you, even I may get confused. So I normally avoid the simple way of explaining that.
Guruji, thank you very much. It was very, very well explained. And then this is, this is like every time I listen to it, I feel, oh, I have understood it this time. And then after some time again, there's a confusion. But then this explanation, I'm sure with the arithmetic, that will remain. Thank you very much, Guruji.
Thank you. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Guruji.
Hari Om. Thank you. Yes, any more question? I think Anjali ji raised the hands, or is her question answered?
Yeah, I had raised a hand, but that question got answered in your this explanation of karmas. I wanted to know. You said that a Gyani Gyani has to face the Prarabdha Karma, but he can burn Sanchita Karma. That is right.
Yes.
Yeah, that you repeated, got answered. Thank you, Dr. Guruji.
Thank you. Hari Om. Thank you. Any more questions?
I just wanted in the second chapter, what are the important steps to be ready? Suppose I'm going to start reading that second chapter. What should be?
I will, after we finish the 72nd sloka, which is the last sloka of the second chapter, I will be giving you a summary of the second chapter.
Okay.
So in that summary, you will get to know all the very important things that, because basically second chapter, 3 things he talks about, right?
Okay.
He has talked about first Jnana Yoga. in the 12 verses, 11 to 20, 11 to 23 or 25, I don't remember the number. 12 slokas, he talked first about this Jnana Yoga. Then he talks about Karma Yoga. Then he has now talked about, the Sthita Pragyasa Lakshanani and Sthita Pragyasa Sadhanani. These are the three main topics of the second chapter, right? So we have to focus on that. And as I said, the second chapter is only a sort of a headline, like newspaper and all, they will give a headline and then the main story will follow. Like that, the second chapter, Krishna has given an introduction of what all he is going to talk about in the entire Bhagavad Gita. So the rest of the things that we are going to see from third chapter onwards up to the 17th chapter, or even part of the 18th chapter, is going to be elaboration of these three topics. That is what we are going to see. Well, he will tell about more sadhanas, how to do a certain thing and all that. He will talk about all those things. Krishna will talk about. We'll see. I'll give you a summary.
Also, I wanted to comment that Dvaita Drishti and Advaita Drishti was very interesting. In that, I just understood that whiteboard is consciousness. Apart from that, still everything is hazy. Let me think about it. There is a wave and a kind of understanding. That's what
Very true. That's how you have to understand that there is only consciousness. Everything else is a superimposition on the consciousness. They may remain, they may not remain. Consciousness is the only permanent thing which remains. That is what it is, that only the permanent thing that remains in a cinema theater is the white screen. All other, any different films you can show on that white screen. You can show English movie, Tamil movie, Hindi movie, Kannada movie, Telugu movie, everything. But what does not change is the white screen. Everything else changes on that screen. If we understand with this perspective, if we try to understand this entire world, then our drishti becomes Advaita Drishti. That is what Vedanta is emphasizing. That try to look at the world, understand the world with Advaita Drishti, you will gain happiness permanently. Because you approach the world with Dvaita Drishti, all that is the root cause of all your miseries. That's what the simple message of Vedanta is.
Not very clear, but let me think.
It will not become clear one class. You have to go on thinking about it, and it will take time, and depending upon what other sadhanas you are able to do along with Shravanam Mananam, that will also depend upon. As I said, it's an automatic process. For example, there is a mirror, which is a very old mirror you find in the attic of your house. Right? It has got completely, layers of dust on that. Can you see your face in that mirror? You can't. What you do? You say, okay, now let me clean this mirror. So you take soap, you take a sponge and all that. Slowly start cleaning the mirror. As even you keep, cleaning the mirror, slowly, you start seeing first there will be an outline of your face, then some more details you will see. And when the mirror becomes perfect, you will be able to see your face very clearly, isn't it?
Yes.
What have you done? Has there been any change in the mirror? Has there been any change in your face? Nothing has happened. All that you have done is the mirror, which has the capability to reflect your face. You have cleaned that mirror in such a way that it is now completely rid of all the dirt and dust which has settled on it for maybe hundreds of years in your house, in your traditional house. Similarly, our mind mirror, because of all the past vasanas and all these things, so much of impurities have actually settle down in our mind. That is why our mind, our intellect is not able to see our face. See our face means get the knowledge of our real self. So you keep on cleaning your mind. Chitta Shuddhi, keep on doing. Once you have attained a fairly high degree of Chitta Shuddhi, automatically it will show you, reflect your face. You don't need to do anything extra. You just, keep doing Shravanam, Mananam. All that knowledge, you will see that it is automatically settling in your mind. Everything is becoming very clear now. Till yesterday, what was not clear to me has become very clear to me. That is what you will experience. So this process of the Chitta Shuddhi is an important and a complementary process which one has to continue to do. Karma Yoga and do these prayers and all these things, we have to do it with an attitude of, and Chitta Shuddhi you will get only when you do your karmas with a Nishkama Bhava. Sakama Bhava means you are asking for some material benefits. You get the material benefit, then it will not give any Chitta Shuddhi. You can either get material benefits or you can get Chitta Shuddhi. You can't get both. So this is all we have to understand. So I should give up all this Raga Dvesha, material benefit, desires, Kama and all that I should reduce. Make it only, I should have desire only for the minimum things in my life. What I need to survive, desire to eat, desire to drink water, desire to wear some decent clothes, desire to live in a virus-free environment, desire to protect myself against any virus attacks or anything like that. These are desires which are necessary for my day-to-day living, for a healthy living. Those desires you can have. Other than that, all other desires for all materialistic things, you start neutralizing them. ठीक है, मिलता है, नहीं मिलता है, कोई बात नहीं. It is not going to make any difference to my living. If I get a car, it is not, or if I become a very rich man with billions of dollars, I am not going to eat golden biscuits. I am going to eat only the wheat biscuit or maida biscuit, isn't it? You develop that attitude. What do I need in my life? What is the minimum I need? I will ensure that I have desire for that. I will get that. Beyond that, if I get something, fine. If I don't get, suppose I go to some place and there is no AC, it's a very hot place, no fan and all that. Oh, there is no AC, there is no fan. I can't live here. Then you don't have that attitude of sadhaka. If there is AC, very good. I will enjoy sitting in a cool atmosphere. No AC also, no problem. I will still continue to do what I am committed to do, either as a sadhaka or as a acharya, whatever I need to do, I will continue to do. So that is what is the binding desire, non-binding desire. You have to differentiate all these things. So it will take time, but don't lose hope. Continue doing it. One fine day you will see like a bulb lighting up suddenly. Jnanam will come. You know, my God, that's so easy. It will happen. Don't worry. Okay. Okay, Hari Om. So we'll close today and continue next Saturday. Okay. Hari Om. Thank you.
Hari Om, Guruji. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.